Here we are once again, where it looks like there's a lot more of us now. To all of you newcomers, first of all, hello! Here on the channel, we ask the AI to break down complex topics like politics without any bias or emotion. And last time, I had it fact-check Trump's claims, which was pretty fun, and you all had a great reaction to it. But now, to keep things absolutely fair, I think it's only right that we do the same with Kamala Harris, don't you think?
You talk about extreme.
Today I'm going to ask ChatGPT to fact-check her statements, analyze them, and give us clear answers on whether they're true or false. The concept is pretty simple, so what are we really waiting for? Personally, I'm waiting for you to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel right now. Believe it or not, it's super important because it's the quickest way to show that you love this type of content and that you want more of it. So make sure you've done that.
Because it's a really interesting thing to watch.
Without any more waiting, let's get right into the video. Okay, here's the first problem. Finding controversial statements from Kamala Harris was not as easy as I thought. It was pretty simple with Donald Trump, as you could imagine. Just open up any old video of him, right? Click on a random time frame and you'll find some kind of wild claim. But with Kamala, I even asked people in the comments for help with her statements, but unfortunately there just wasn't a whole lot. So I ended up deep diving into conservative forums and channels to see which of her statements bothered people the most. And you know what? Most of the complaints look like this.
Looking holistically at the connection between that and housing, and looking holistically at the incentives we in the federal government can create for local and state governments to actually engage in planning in a holistic manner.
As you can see, most people mock Kamala for the overuse of the word holistic, probably hinting that Trump would be a better choice because he doesn't use that holistic word salad. I mean, what kind of holistic logic is that? But even still, even though it was tough, I did manage to make that list on my own, and now I'm about to ask the AI about the first one. So it's time to jump into the chat. And here we are. Now you see I'm typing the initial message, asking it to be unbiased with no left or right-leaning takes. So let's start with Trump's Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Harris said it only benefited the wealthy and raised taxes on the middle class.
An agenda that gives trillions of dollars in tax cuts to billionaires and the biggest corporations while raising taxes on the middle class by almost $4,000 a year.
So, is that really accurate? Go ahead, ChatGPT. Kamala Harris argued that the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act solely favored the wealthy and increased taxes on the middle class. However, this claim is false. The 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act did benefit wealthy individuals and corporations significantly, mainly by reducing the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21%. However, it also improved tax cuts for most middle-class Americans through changes like the increased standard deduction and an expanded child tax credit. While some middle-class taxpayers in high-tax states were negatively impacted by the cap on state and local tax deductions, most middle-income families saw a decrease in their taxes. Well, okay, this claim is actually false. Now let's move on to the next one, where she said that Trump lost at least 200,000 manufacturing jobs before the pandemic, leaving us with the worst economy since the Great Depression.
Well, here's what I know in terms of the facts. Donald Trump left us with the worst economy since the Great Depression when you look at, for example, the employment numbers.
It was during COVID.
Even before the pandemic, he lost manufacturing jobs by most people's estimates, at least 200,000. Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression.
Almost 200,000 manufacturing jobs were lost during his presidency, starting before the pandemic hit, making Trump one of the biggest losers ever on manufacturing.
And here it is. Kamala Harris claimed that Trump's presidency led to the loss of over 200,000 manufacturing jobs before the pandemic, resulting in the worst economy since the Great Depression. This statement, however, is false. Before the pandemic, manufacturing jobs actually increased under Trump, with approximately 500,000 jobs added between January 2017 and February 2020. The significant job losses occurred during the pandemic, not before it. Additionally, while the pandemic caused a sharp economic downturn, past crises like the Great Recession also resulted in severe unemployment, making the comparison to the Great Depression an exaggeration. Well, this claim is also false. But let's move on to the topic of immigration and break down the next statement. She claimed that during Trump's 4 years as president, he did nothing to change the broken immigration system.
In the 4 years that Donald Trump was president, he did nothing to fix our broken immigration system.
Now let's see if that's true or not. Harris argued that during his 4 years in office, Trump made no efforts to address the broken immigration system. However, this claim is false. Trump made several changes to immigration policy, including building sections of the border wall, ending catch and release practices, enforcing stricter asylum rules, and implementing the travel ban. However, many believe that these changes actually worsened the situation, making the system more problematic. Nonetheless, it's incorrect to say he did nothing. What? I think ChatGPT took that statement a bit too literally. Kamala's claim was actually about how Trump did nothing good for the immigration system. It's like, even if he made it worse, the claim is still false because he technically did something right? Well, okay. Tell me in the comments if you agree with this decision or not. And by the way, this is already the third false claim out of 3, according to the AI. But anyways, let's stick with immigration and check out another statement that Trump separated families and took children from their mothers at the border.
He separated families. He ripped toddlers out of their mothers' arms, put children in cages, and tried to end protections for dreamers.
And this is the answer it gave. Harris accused Trump of separating families and taking children away from their mothers at the border, and this is accurate. The Trump administration implemented a zero-tolerance policy in 2018, which led to thousands of children being separated from their families at the U.S.-Mexico border. The policy required that all adults crossing the border illegally be prosecuted, resulting in children being separated and placed in government shelters. This practice faced widespread condemnation and was later halted, but its effects were significant and well documented. Okay, got it. ChatGPT confirmed that claim, but I have one more recent statement, that Trump tried to sabotage the border security bill.
And so even though Donald Trump tried to sabotage the border security bill, it is my pledge to you that as President of the United States, I will bring it back up and proudly sign it into law.
So, is it true or not? Kamala Harris asserted that Trump attempted to sabotage the border security bill. This claim, however, is misleading. Trump opposed certain bipartisan border security bills, arguing that they did not go far enough in addressing illegal immigration. His criticism and resistance did contribute to the failure of some immigration reform efforts. However, this opposition was rooted in his demand for stricter measures, like funding the border wall, rather than an attempt to sabotage border security as a whole. Okay, this one is misleading, but now I wanted to fact check a couple of alarming claims about reproductive rights. The first one is about women being forced to travel to another state to receive an abortion.
Working people, working women have to travel to another state to get on a plane sitting next to strangers to go and get the health care she needs. Barely can afford to do it, and what you are putting her through.
And here's the answer. In the debate, Harris mentioned that women are being forced to travel to other states to access abortion care. This claim is true. Since the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade in 2022, many states have enacted strict abortion bans or severe restrictions. As a result, women in states with these restrictive laws have been forced to travel to other states where abortion care is still accessible. Numerous reports and data confirm this trend, with some women having to travel hundreds of miles to receive care. All right. Well, actually, not all right, because situations like these do happen, so this claim is true. Now, there's another one about women bleeding out in parking lots because of these restrictions.
Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot. She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that.
So let's find out if it's also true or not. Harris argued during the debate that women are bleeding out in parking lots. However, this statement is an exaggeration and lacks direct evidence. While there have been reports of women facing delays or complications in receiving emergency care due to restrictive abortion laws, there is no verified data to support the specific scenario of women bleeding out in parking lots. The statement appears to be more of a dramatic illustration rather than a documented fact. Got it. So the AI said that while there are some isolated incidents, the claim is still somewhat misleading overall. Then let's move on and ask it about her statement that Trump wants to roll back LGBTQ+ rights.
If Donald Trump wins in November, he will once again implement policies that target the LGBTQ community.
So is that really true or not? And here's the answer. Harris stated that Trump plans to roll back LGBTQ+ rights, which is partially true. During his presidency, Trump implemented several policies that restricted LGBTQ+ rights, such as the transgender military ban and the rollback of healthcare protections for transgender individuals. However, his 2024 campaign has not explicitly outlined new plans to further roll back LGBTQ+ rights. While his past actions support Harris's concerns, the statement implies a definitive future intention, which has not been clearly stated in his current campaign. Okay, well, this claim is partly true, but now I have to ask something about Project 2025. So, ChatGPT, is it true that Trump wants to cut Social Security and Medicare through Project 2025? Now, I'm about to send this question and find out the answer, but before I do that, take a moment to hit that like button if you're enjoying this video, and make sure to subscribe to the channel because it's especially important for the YouTube algorithm to get this video much more views. So be sure to do that because it really helps me out. Alright, with all of that out of the way, let's jump into the final questions. So, does Trump really want to cut Social Security and Medicare through Project 2025?
Read it. It's 900 pages. But here's the thing. When you read it, you will see Donald Trump intends to cut Social Security and Medicare, throwing tens of millions of Americans off of health care and cutting Social Security and Medicare.
And here it is. Kamala Harris argued that Trump aims to cut Social Security and Medicare through Project 2025. However, this claim is misleading. Project 2025 is a conservative policy agenda outlined by right-leaning think tanks, detailing various proposed changes to federal programs. However, it does not explicitly call for cutting Social Security or Medicare. Additionally, Trump has publicly stated multiple times that he does not plan to cut these programs. While there is concern about the impact of some conservative policies on social programs, there is no direct evidence in Project 2025 or Trump's campaign plans that confirms an intention to cut Social Security and Medicare. So that claim is misleading because Trump stated otherwise. And of course, we fully trust Trump's statements, right, ChatGPT? Well, alright, now I have one last statement for the AI, and it goes like this. Donald Trump openly vowed to be a dictator on day one if reelected.
Recall, Donald Trump has openly vowed, if reelected, to be a dictator on day one.
And here's the final answer. During her campaign, Harris claimed that Trump openly vowed to be a dictator on day one if reelected. This statement is partially true. While Trump did not explicitly say he would act as a dictator, Harris's exaggeration seems to reflect her concerns about his approach to executive power. Trump has discussed using executive authority aggressively and has indicated plans to reverse certain policies, with minimal checks from other branches of government. Though he has not directly stated an intention to rule as a dictator, Harris's framing can be seen as highlighting potential authoritarian tendencies in his rhetoric and policy approach. Therefore, while the literal wording of her claim is false, it holds some truth in expressing a genuine concern about Trump's leadership style. And that's pretty much it. ChatGPT analyzed 10 of Kamala Harris's statements, and here's what we got. 10 claims, 2 of them being true, 2 are partly true, 3 are misleading, along with 3 being false. Although one of those false claims wasn't really fair, I guess. For those who said that ChatGPT is 100% left-leaning, well, how about now? I didn't really see it going easy on her with any of the questions, but what do you think? Was it fair or not? Let me know in the comments below if I missed any of her statements and whether you agree with the AI's conclusions or not. And you know what? Now it's going to be especially interesting to compare this fact check with that one where we did exactly the same, but on Trump statements. You know, Springfield, dogs, cats, and all of that. So thanks for watching. We're done here, but don't go anywhere. Click on that video and I'll be waiting for you there.